Hello everyone and welcome to the Semi-Auto Racing Association Tundra Super Sim Series presented by Loco Toco Designs. Tonight we have 100 laps of super late model action with the SARA Super Sim Series. We are at Iowa Speedway. It's Midwest Powersource 100 and it is a stacked field again tonight. 30 cars will be out on track to try to take claim to the top spot on the box. Currently, Landon Pemberton is fastest in practice, and we only have just a couple more minutes until they go out on track to grid up here. Now, last week was the first week in the series, and the winner in that was Jimmy Mullis. Second was Joe Schaefer Jr. Third was Zach Novak. Kyle Souza and Tyler Spearman round out the top five. This week, you're going to have some of the same guys running up front. Now, like I said, practice, it has Landon Hamilton being on top right now, but Adam Benenfield, Dallin Pataska, AJ Rogers, and DK, David Kokorian is your top five with Mullis in six. So, depending on when they get out on the track, with being there's so many cars, it's kind of hard to say what these lap times are like. You know, if Landon was the first one out, probably going to be the fastest one. So these cars lay down rubber pretty quickly, especially even around here. And, you know, good racing. But I'm not alone in the booth tonight. I do have a co-host. It is not Bill Martin, because that guy is lazy. I have someone else just as good. I have Drew Kryback. Drew, how are you, bud?
I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm just as good as Bill Martin here, but, you know, you were mentioning the lap times here. I don't think anybody really knows what anybody has right now. You look at the top, Benefield, when they were on the one-up were fast last year, they're in the sixes. And you look all the way down in iRacing changes, so no clue where Joe Schaefer is, but he's right now 3.5 tenths off. So it'll be interesting to see who can march to the front in the 100 laps.
Yes, it will. And way qualifying worked out, you know, Joe was pretty quick in practice before qualifying, and he didn't lay down the lap that he wanted to. I talked to him just before the race, and he said that the track kind of changed with all the laps turned on it, which is understandable. But we'll see how it plays out. The guys are gridding up right now as we speak, and we'll go through your lineup here, let you know who all these drivers are and what they're all about. It should be an exciting race tonight.
Absolutely, and you know, it's the game on these big tracks. Are you going short run, long run with this many cars this close? You know, you think you might want to go for a shorter run, but SARA in the past has been a long run series, so it's the chance you take. You've sat in the cockpit. Where would you be setting your car up right now?
Well, mine would be set up for a long run because I'm a terrible qualifier. So mine would be set up for the long run, for the most part, hoping that I can kind of conserve my tires. You know, just kind of see if I can work my way up through the field. But this isn't one of my best tracks. I think you ran pretty good here last time, if memory serves me right. But I know that the posse generally has a fast setup everywhere, but especially for the big tracks.
Yeah, and those dynamic autosports guys are going to be tough. If you remember last time we were here, Tyler Hudson really kind of played possum for 75 laps. And before you know it, he was turning it on at the end. So when we roll through the 100 laps here, the guy that's, you know, might be sitting 21st through 30th, you think they don't have a shot. But remember, it doesn't count until lap 100. And so you can lead 99 laps, but if you burned your stuff up, somebody could be marching to the front. Looks like they're rolling off.
They are rolling off, and you are correct. So we'll see what happens. We'll have some comers and goers for sure. But starting on the pole tonight is Ron Matthews in the 51 car. Outside of him is Trevor Edwards in the 32. Starting in the second row is Zach Novak in the 1 car. On the outside of him is Ian Lane. Donald Clark in your 28 is on the inside of row 3 with DK in the 66, just on the outside of him. Tim Bills, last night's strong runner, finished in 3rd place. Started in 8th place there, or 7th place, excuse me. Ty Spearman, guy who did win last night, is starting in 8th. 9th place is David Radler. 10th place, Jimmy Mullis, who is your current point leader. On the inside of row 6 there is Joe Schaefer Jr. I definitely would be watching out for this guy. He generally runs good no matter where he's going. Adam Benefield is just on the outside of him. The 14 car is Grant Brown. 71 is Matt Bontempi. We have Russell Karniski on the outside there. 78 is Joe Lawrence. The 02 is Dallas Pataska. 57 is Michael Goddard. 35 is Keith Medros. And the 60 car is Michael Baxter. Or excuse me, the 27 car is Michael Baxter. And I think we are going green here.
Green.
Ryan Matthews gets out to a good lead. He's already going to be going to the bottom.
Yeah, and right now you're going to be it's going to be about getting in line. It's going to be about getting that rhythm, saving your stuff. You don't want to burn that right rear up, and you really don't want to burn that right front up. This track is a lot tighter than you expect, and so we'll probably see the fastest lap around lap 6 or 7 for a lot of these guys.
Oh yes, once they get it lined out here, you know, it's not single file, or once it gets single file, then you will be, you know, the guys will be going faster. Currently back here looking at Tim Bills. He's got a mirror full.
Side by side's not really where they want to be right now. Again, long race, 100 laps. You're going to see guys taking advantage of positions right now on these close restarts, trying to see what they have. That group there, you got Mullis, Benefield, Bills. You know, they're wanting to get in front of each other just to kind of pace the field.
Yeah, and the side by side, it looks like fun, and it is fun. It's not what they're wanting to do. You could be using up your stuff here just a little bit, just even trying to stay off the guy coming off the turn. It tightens up a little bit. So right now, even though everyone's spread out, and as you can tell, they're all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. The bottom way is generally the faster way around. That's pretty tight there with the 09.
And Derek, if you're Joe Schaefer right now, you're sitting in 13th. What's your strategy? You're the point leader last year. This isn't your best track. What are you thinking right now on lap 5?
Stay out of trouble. You know, everyone's trying to find their way. You know, trying to find their line, but still trying to pass guys as well. For him, he's kind of in no man's land. He doesn't want to push too hard to use up his stuff, like he stated earlier. Tyler Hudson last year just kind of minded his P's and Q's, and then he turned it on there at the very end. And I think Joe's going to have the same thing, but it's really hard to do. It's really hard to turn down the competitive juices, per se, to not get past. Especially with Joe, he's one of the more competitive guys in nature that I know. So, you know, he's probably just content and staying right here, maybe even running the high line, not abusing his stuff, and just seeing how things play out.
Yeah, and he's seeing the 66, the 37, the 83 all kind of walk away, and he's getting, you know, one of the exciting things in SARA is you start to run with new guys, and this is only week 2. So we look at, you know, a lot of new guys around him. He doesn't exactly know how to trust them, how to do, you know, how they're going to race, if he's going to be aggressive, if they're going to be aggressive, and so it's a lot of give and take out there right now.
Right now it is, and I mean, as you can tell, you know, these guys are running side by side. They're not even coming close to each other. You know, as a race goes on, as we get, you know, way deeper into the run or into the race, it's going to be a little bit closer. Guys going to be pinching each other, you know, running door to door. Right now, everyone's giving each other room because, you know, you don't want to be the cause of a caution, potentially going to the rear of the field, and you definitely don't want to be caught up in it, ruining your night as well.
Yeah, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Donald Clark up here at running in 5th. Joined a new team, I believe, here recently. It's really turned his program around. Solid top 5. He has the point leader coming up in his mirror right now. Just again, solid night for him so far early in the race.
Yeah, noticed Donald Clark last night in the street stock race, and he did all right. And then, you know, seeing that he was running well in practice, and then he laid down a hell of a qualifying lap to get him up here. And track position here is huge. You know, you can have a fast car, but track position, just like anywhere else, you know, especially when it comes to the big speedways, is very key. So, you know, kudos to him, like you said, and he's up here running in the top 5. But Mullis is running him down. You know, Mullis is actually, Donald Clark ran a little bit faster lap that last lap, so maybe just pulled away from him a little bit, but he's on him here right now, just getting through the center so well.
And back up front, Novak is all over the back of Ryan Matthews, about a 10th off. Panned up to him, and he was just looking underneath him. But again, guys, only lap 13, lap 12 here, not wanting to be too aggressive, but there's still something as a racer that you'd much rather be out front than run in second.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can control the restarts. You know, you kind of control a lot of things, but it's easy to get going, you know, and burn up your stuff, especially when you're running for the lead, because, you know, who doesn't want to be in the lead? So we'll see how aggressive he is here with Matthews. You know, if he runs him hard or if Matthews just lets him go. But right now we got a good battle for the lead.
And also a good battle back here for the top 10. Schaefer's starting to work his way through. A guy like Grant Brown, who we saw running up in the 8th, 9th, 10th spot, starting to fall, you know, so we wondered, did he use up his stuff? Are his tires gone? Which should only be in lap 13. You definitely don't want. Ooh, I think we have somebody. Matt Rolfe is down to the infield here on the front stretch. No caution, though.
New leader, Zach Novak. So Zach went ahead and got around Matthews, and he may look to stretch it out here a little bit.
Yeah, Matt, looks like Matt in the 25 car here of Devin Rogers just barely tangled out of 4. Matt down to the grass. iRacing does not call the caution, you know, if you're that far in. And I don't know if he pulled it back or what exactly, but no caution. We stay green.
Meantime, Novak is pulling away, putting a little distance on Matthews, and don't look now, but Jimmy Mullis is flying up through the field here. He just got around Ian Lane. I couldn't tell if Ian Lane just let him by or if Mullis is that fast. You know, with the team that they're on, you know, they did really well here last year. You know, Benefield's not too far behind him. So these guys are definitely going to be up front for the better part of the race.
Yeah, it looks like Devin Rogers, the 25, is taking blame for that incident there. Rolfe is back up on the track, and now he's just praying for a caution here. Luckily, it's a big enough track, though, so even if he does go a lap down, the chances of another car going a lap down, it's limited on. He should be able to get that lucky dog back.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot of help here. You know, can't win it. Like they say, you can't win it on the first lap or even in the first stints of the race, but you can definitely lose it, and that doesn't do him any favors. You know, now he's up to, does he want to go a lap down? You know, obviously you don't, but how hard does he push it to keep himself from going a lap down? So
and I tell you, you were right. Mullis is flying. That car looks solid out there as he goes underneath Trevor Edwards here for the 3rd spot, I believe that's going to be. So Mullis at 40 car is on his way to the front. Yeah,
and Mullis right now, you know, that was passing someone. He was 0.3 of a second faster than Edwards that last lap, but he's still not faster than our leaders. So now that he has some clean air out in front of him, we'll see what kind of lap times he runs and see if he's able to run these leaders down, as it looks like we're going to have a pretty long green flag stint to start this race.
Ooh, I don't know if you caught that. Adam Benefield, the 83, about caught the apron. Car was a little sideways there out of 4. What does that do for you as a driver? You hit the apron, you maybe lit up that right rear a little bit. How do you get back into your rhythm?
You got to shake it off pretty quick. It's easy to clip that apron if you're running low in 3 and 4 because you're trying to get the car to turn right there in the center where he is now. And you know, the closer you get to the yellow line, the easier it is to get it to turn. But it looks like we have a pretty good battle here with Joe Lawrence and what else we have there?
Donald Clark, the 13, Roush, they're all a good battle. And Clark's another one of those that we kind of talked, you know, a guy may be out front fast or early in the race, but, you know, we're about 15 laps on. Did he use up his stuff? You don't really know until we keep rolling here, but yeah, nice battle.
Well, the key is, and you probably experienced as well, is how do you want your car to set up? Like, how is it on a longer run? Does it get tighter on you on a long run? Does it get looser on you on the longer run? I know for us at T4X, generally we would set ours up to be a little tighter earlier on the run, and then it would start loosening up and coming around once the tire pressures came up, which wasn't good for us on restarts, but on long runs we were really good. So maybe for Donald it was maybe just the opposite for him. It was really good for him, and now it's getting pretty tight. So he's working his way on back, maybe trying to work the brake bias a little bit to maybe help him rotate there in the center.
And unfortunately, on a track like this, the brake bias doesn't do a whole lot of good for you unless you're really free in. But if you're loose off lap 23 of the race, I think you're going to be in for a long race. You got to get in and make some adjustments.
Yep, we got a good battle here. There's Roush. He's getting by Ian Lane now.
Roush is another dynamic auto sports car, so they're starting to move their way to the front early in the race.
Yeah, they're going to be strong no matter what. you know, especially these aero tracks, they have that down pretty good. I mean, well, they're good no matter what, but these fast tracks where aero comes into play, they are fast.
Coming into some lap traffic here, it's not going to be much of an issue. This track is well, as soon as I say that, and we both came together there, but this track is plenty wide. Shouldn't be any issues for the leaders getting by.
No, and it's pretty strung out right now. I think everyone right now is just trying to log some laps, maybe see what their car's doing. You know, the leaders, basically the first 4 guys are running 23.3s. Outside of Ron Matthews, he ran a 23.5 that last one, but they're turning some laps. You know, the only ones that are turning 23.3s are the one-up guys. So they definitely have found something.
And at this point here, if you're on, you're hoping for no caution, and if you're off, you just can't wait. But like you said, this field's getting plenty strung out here that I don't anticipate one, and the track's wide enough, so if there is a wreck, especially down the front stretch, as we saw with the 5 of Rolf there, no caution's going to come out. They're going to stay green.
Yeah, they're going to. They are. It will stay green. You know, we got a good battle here between Tim Bills and Trevor Edwards, and here comes Roush as well.
Yeah, it looks like Edwards may have just kind of moved over, let him go, just try to follow their line, not use your stuff up there.
Yeah, and he may try to save it for a little bit later, since he's maybe not fast right now. If he can maybe save his stuff better than everyone else, he can be a little bit fast later. But like I was saying, this is a no-tire race, so you know, try not to use your stuff up here too much, because you can't come down and get fresh rubber, you know.
And can you explain to the audience out there how hard it is for a driver to not go 100%? How hard is it knowing you're only lap 30 of a 100 lap race? You can't go full throttle yet. You're letting guys pass you. How difficult is that as a driver in the car?
Oh, it's very difficult. You know, we all show up here to at least do our best and try to win. You know, even if you can't win, you're trying to finish, you know, top 10 or top 15. You're just obviously trying to do better constantly. So for you to not just give it 100%, it's super difficult. It takes a lot of discipline to just be, you know, self-aware of what the situation is, knowing that it's early. You can go ahead and let this guy go by, let him use his stuff, you know, let him use his stuff up, so that way you can have more at the end and get around him, so that way you finish higher up in the standings. But it's a lot easier said than done.
You know, if you watched the broadcast last night, I think Bills and Rolf were perfect examples of that. The 3 posse guys got out front, and when you're out front racing against each other, especially teammates, you don't know how hard to push. But Rolf was coming there at the end. If that was, you know, if they would have had a long run, I think that was Rolf's race. But they started getting a couple short runs there that helped the posse tires cool back down and be able to fend them off.
Yep, exactly. And, you know, it's going to be the same way here tonight. You know, you had the guys that were fast like Donald Clark up front. If you get a caution here, especially if you get a couple back-to-back cautions where the track and the tires get to cool down a little bit, he may be fast again and pick off a couple more spots. So, you know, right now it's got a green flag look. I mean, we're on lap 33 of 100, and they're just clicking them off. But some really good racing all around the track. Right now, it looks like DK's trying to work on Joe.
And so you see a lot of guys that they're running multiple lines here. You know, kind of explain the different lines if you can. Why are some guys down low? Why are some guys up high? Is there a difference between them, or are they just searching? Yeah, well, they're probably definitely searching. Just searching for grip, right? So the main line is going to be down low. It's the shortest way around the track. But as more people run down there, more rubber gets put on down there, which means less grip. So guys will move up. Now, they'll also move up if, you know, if their car's a little bit tight, they'll move up the track a little bit and it'll loosen up. It's also a longer way around, so you don't have to turn the wheel as much. So with a tighter race car, you don't have to worry about burning up the right front. As you can see, I mean, DK was running high one lap and he's down low another. You know, you're trying anything and everything just to find speed, you know, to find time. You know, we're talking hundredths or tenths, you know, a lap, but it all adds up, especially when you're running as close as you are with someone. So it really depends on what your car is doing, you know, how you have it set up. But if you have a very balanced car, then you can just run anywhere that you want and basically run where they're not. Work your way through the field. Yeah, and another thing is, I don't know if the viewers out there can see, turn one this track is known for being rough, and turn one's pretty bumpy, and so if you're dealing with a loose car on entry and you hit those bumps, you could be going for a ride. So you see a lot of guys trying to swing around those bumps. You see DK here, trying to drive right through them. So if you're loose on entry, a lot of guys will start to move up to try to avoid those bumps.
Yeah, and we, I can't remember how many seasons ago it was now, but we had a set that was really soft. You know, it had had a pretty high ride height, had soft shocks, soft springs, and so that way you can get through the bumps really well. And it handled really well, and it was pretty quick. And I think Clay won that race, if I'm not mistaken, Clay Snyder. But you know, there's different ways of doing it. So of getting around it, like I said, either you can go around them or you can go through them. But to go through them, you have to have your car set up right. If not, it's going to upset it one way or the other. It's going to get loose or it's going to get tight, and either way, it's not fast. So we're going to go on board here with DK and show you what we mean. Maybe you can kind of figure it out, or, you know, see for yourself once we come back around to turn 1 and 2 exactly how bumpy it is.
I don't know if it's my angle. It looks like the right side of DK's car might be crinkled in a little bit, so you may have had some contact either with the outside wall, with another car, which you'd never know how much that damage is actually going to affect on the sim racing world. But if that was in real life on an aero track like this, he'd probably be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, he would be, and it's crinkled up a little bit from my view as well. But as you can see, as you went through 1 and 2, you know, it was bouncing. You know, these cars are usually stiffly sprung, if not have some stiff shocks on them as well, especially up front. Turn 1 and or turn 3 and 4 there. Maybe we have a caution.
Caution. That will change things, as they say.
Find out who it was that. Looks like it may be the 50 car of Mike Carlson. Or not. Not him. He already had damage. It was the 14 car.
Grant Brown, a local guy from up here by Minnesota, up by my neck of the woods.
Like he was racing there with Andre. You know, they've got loose on him. Loose on him in the middle of 1 and 2, and that's what we were just speaking of prior to going on board with DK. You know, you're finding different lines depending on what your car's doing, and you know, he may have can't have a condition where you are, you know, a push loose. You know, he could have been really tight, and he's up there, and he's turning the wheel, and then the car snaps on him, and it looks like it's what happened. And he tried to collect it and didn't hit anything. So kudos to him for not hitting anything, and good job on Andre and missing him as well. But it just looks like he got crossed up on him, and maybe Matt Rolfe this time can finally get to the back of the field and work his way up to the front.
Yeah, that's what Rolfe needed. I think, you know, something like, you know, somebody like Joe Schaefer Jr. needed a caution to kind of reset. We're almost a halfway. You can't take tires, as you mentioned before, but you can come in, you can change the track bar a little bit, you can let the tires cool back down, but that's letting the tires cool down is a band-aid, because in about another 10 laps you're going to be right back to where you were. So a lot of strategy right now, and I think you're going to see guys be aggressive. You saw in the initial start, you gotta take the positions while you can, because the field's going to get strung out and it's going to become hard to pass.
Yeah, that it is, and we'll go through our top 10 here real quick. First, you have Zach Novak still. Behind him is Adam Benefield, and it looks like, you know, he got around Mullis and Matthews here while we were watching DK. But third is Ryan Matthews. Fourth is your points leader, Jimmy Mullis. Fifth is Tim Bills. Sixth, Samuel Roush. Seventh, Joe Lawrence. Eighth, David Rattler. Ninth, Trevor Edwards. And 10th is DK, David Kokorian.
And then just kind of looking back through here, Rolfe is still on the lead lap. Ty Spearman in 11th, Joe Schaefer in 12th, Donald Clark, who we had mentioned earlier, was running 5th up there, you know, kind of hanging out in 13th. You know, and so you look at your top point guys, they're starting to make their way to the top about halfway through.
Yeah, and it'll see. I'm interested in seeing what Schaefer and Spearman are going to do, because they are not 11th and 12th place cars. I mean, they're just not. I know there's a lot of fast guys that are up there in front of them as well. But you know, those guys, I think they're saving a little bit of something. You would know a little bit better than I would, being your teammates with them. But I think they're kind of holding their cards close to their vest there, and I think they're about to show them before too long.
Yeah, and this is again one of those tracks that you just don't know. You know, we spent quite a large amount of time testing. It'd feel good, and then it'd feel bad, and then it'd feel good, and then it would, you know, kind of go away. As you'd mentioned, you know, in the start you kind of want it tight, and then it comes to you, and then all of a sudden it snaps wicked loose. So it's finding that balance of a long run versus a short run, and this could breed more cautions here, which, you know, could be something what the posse needs.
Well, it very well could. We'll see what Zach has here. He's going to be leading them down here for the restart, and they're going to spread out. He's getting into turn one. We'll see how long he can hold off Adam. Adam's been very quick, those one-up guys, so we'll see how long he can stay out front. But these cautions could breed more cautions, and it's about to get pretty exciting. We're at almost at the back half of the race here. So if you have it now, I think now is the time to where you have to start making moves to get towards the front if you're not there yet.
And if you're Adam Benefield, you know, you're going to sail it off into one to try to ride that top groove to get the run down the backstretch, or you're going to try to work a crossover? What's your strategy right now?
It depends on the restart that he gets, right? So if he gets off to a good restart where he's at least his front bumper to the back wheel of Zach, I think he does haul off into turn one up top and just, you know, rim rat it per se, and just get that run down the back there on him, because that's where he was running. If he doesn't get off to a great start, and if there's room between him and the leader and Matthews in third, then he may sneak it down to the bottom to try to make up just a little bit of time before trying to work the pass back over. But we're to go back to green. Pace car's in. There he goes. Green flag.
Novak got a great start there. Benefield's on the tires, and Mullis is all over him.
Those are teammates there themselves, so we'll see how they race around each other. There you go. So that's what Benefield did. He didn't get off to a great start. He squeezed right in between Matthews and Novak there.
09 and a Rattler getting a good run there on the outside of Lawrence. Looks like they're trying to go 3 wide. Roush in the middle.
Yeah, Adam Benefield going for the lead here on Novak. Yeah, Novak strong. And there could be a difference there as well with running a little bit down low, you know, with gear. You know, I think different teams run a little bit different gears with a 4-gear setup or a 3rd gear setup. But Novak looks like he has some steam down the straightaway.
Yeah, and you can tell Benefield sucks right up into him, or right up next to him down the backstretch there. Gets the inside the preferred line. We'll see if Novak can hold him off going into one.
Side by side they go. This is a great battle for the lead. Right over the bumps he went. He got through those really good.
I think Benefield's going to be able to clear him going off into 3, and then it's going to be Mullis looking to take advantage, getting underneath Novak as well.
Adam Benefield going out to the lead. Clear up top. New leader, 83.
Halfway. Dynamic Auto Sports car up front. We knew they'd be strong coming in here. They were strong last time we were here. And now it's just going to be about conserving and saving. But you can only save so much. There's 2 fast cars still behind them.
Yeah, and now it's going to come down to if Mullis can get around Novak, and if he can get up there and give Benefield any trouble or not, and how hard is he pushing? Right now, Tim Bills is working his way back up here to the front too. I think he's finally figured out that it's go time.
Yeah, further in the pack here, looking at the 32 of Trevor Edwards, and that car just doesn't get up off the corner like you see the 83 of Benefield or the 40 of Mullis. It's just that car is, it's probably 75% of what he wants, not exactly the run that they probably had hoped for, but now it's just about saving and just hoping for the best coming to the last 48.
Yeah, if your car isn't where you want it to be, and especially for him, if he's not happy with it now, you're just trying to preserve, a top 10 effort, right? You don't want this to be a drop race. You'll take a 10th, go home with that, just in case other things happen at another track that's out of your control. So right now he's just probably trying to preserve that top 10, and just get up any further than that, that'll be great. But he doesn't want to fall back any further at this point either.
Good battle between the 13 of Roush and the 09 Rattler and the 66 of DK. Kokorian here, all trying to kind of run the same line. They're seeing where everybody else is running. It's all about jacking for that position here early.
Yeah, and you'll see them. They'll start running different lines. It's for them. They got. I guess it's just go time for them. You got the 14 down low. He's probably going to stay out of the way for them, for the leader, so they can race it out. But there's only so much you can do. Matthews is coming back to them here, and they're going to have to figure it out, as they're all racing for 5th place right now.
As a lap car, you see, or as a lead lap car, you see a lap car come out of the pits, kind of start running the race groove. What does that do to you as a driver?
Makes you a little nervous. I'm sure you've probably experienced that yourself. It's a little nervous. You kind of want them to disappear almost, which is rude to say. Oh, the 14
there he goes around. Hopefully
he saved it. And that's what worries you right there. If that happened right in front of you, you pucker up a little bit, for lack of a better term.
If it's a lead lap car, it's one thing. If it's a lap car, you start to the blood starts to boil a little bit, especially right now. Your cars aren't handling. Now you have a lap car come out. This track's big enough. You just hope that they can try to stay out of the way here. But he's also running for position and trying to get experience and running laps. So you understand him running hard, but as a lead lap car, it can be frustrating. It
can be, and there's I'm all for lap down cars going out there and getting their laps in. Especially if you're in points. If you can make up some positions and stuff, just you go out there and do your thing. Just also have to be aware of your surroundings and realize that you're off the pace and that the leaders are coming by you, and just running your own line, making sure that you're just not blatantly in the way of someone.
Samuel Roush sitting in 6th here, looking to crack into the top 5. Good battle between Matthews, Kokorian, and Roush. Looks like David Rattler's joined in the party here, so we got a 4-car battle for the top 5.
I wouldn't look now, but Benefield is not pulling away from these guys. Zach Novak settled into 2nd. Mullis is 3rd, and Tim Bills has actually caught up to the tail end of this. He's been consistently the fastest car on the track outside of this last lap. Benefield kind of turned it up a little bit, but we may have a 4-car dance here for the lead before it's all said and done.
How much is that Benefield saving versus, is that actually what he has? Do you think he's saving, or do you think he's running his hardest?
I think they're probably about 8 tenths right now. I don't think they're a full 10 tenths into it. Especially him being the leader. He's starting to pull away. As I said something, it's like he was listening.
Yeah, and this track is so hard. If they're a car length within you, as soon as they try to dive to the bottom of you, you can get the run and you can pinch them on the outside. So it's just that cat and mouse game. How hard do you want them to push? How hard do you want to, or how close do you want to get them? Do you trust them behind you? Because if it's somebody that you don't trust, you don't necessarily want them in a car length of your bumper because you want to get away.
Yeah, exactly. For these guys, outside of Zach Novak, I don't think I've raced with them, but I've raced with Mullis, I've raced with Tim Bills, and Benefield, and even with you, it's just, don't have any worries. You can run as close as what Tim and Jimmy are right now, and not have to worry about them, getting into your ring. But these guys are trying to figure it out. In the meantime, Benefield's just pulling away. He's up to 1.2 second gap here over 2nd place.
Another car that's starting to sneak into the top 5 battle here is that 32 of Trevor Edwards. So, he may have been saving early. He may just let some cars go. We'll see what it does in the long run. It looks like he's still struggling getting up out of the corner. He loses 2-3 car lengths up on exit, but he's driving it in a lot deeper, and he's making up some ground.
Yeah, and you may be able to speak to that for, there's different driving styles. I guarantee you drive differently than I do, and it's even for your own team. Everyone drives a little bit differently. I tend to charge into the corner harder than like what Matt Rolfe does. You may drive a little bit differently than what Trevor does. What do you all do to usually kind of help that, to make it balanced whenever you do kind of help with sets?
Yes, Trevor usually will run a little bit looser setup where somebody like Joe can really back the corner up. Then you look at, Ty Majeski, who's probably the best at saving tires. He can back his corner up so hard, and they get so much drive up off the corner. But a guy like Trevor, you try to drive like that, and you're pretty free off. So, you know, there's been races where, and I'm sure you guys have been in it too, there's been 3 or 4 teammates that make the race, and everybody's running a different setup or a little bit different version just because of how they drive. And so somebody like Trevor, who has that throttle control and is just used to it. Oh, there's Roush.
Oh, Roush is super loose. He's spinning down to the inside.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to cause a caution there. He's off far enough here, so we may stay green. But yeah, I mean, Trevor Edwards is really good at driving a loose race car, and so that helps him. You know, it helps him be fast. But it's all about throttle control, so you don't burn that right rear up.
Yep, and it's just, you know, that's the good part about having teammates is more often than not you're going to find someone that's similar to your driving style. You know, so that way it helps you. You can just automatically take their set and maybe makes a few adjustments, and you can quick or vice versa. So, you know, obviously, just like in real life, the more resources you have, the more teammates you have, the better off you're going to be as a team.
And what a shame for Samuel Roush. He goes from fighting for a top 5 for 10 laps to 24th now. It looks like he's just past Rogers there, up to 23rd. You don't want to say his race is done, but with 32 laps to go, he's in salvage mode at this point.
Yeah, and it's, you know, he would need a quick caution here right now, and with everyone spread out the way it is, outside of someone getting loose and spinning out as he did, you know, it's probably not going to happen for him, unfortunately, tonight. And furthermore, you know, it takes a while for your tires to cool down when you have a big long skid like that. So, you know, they do heat up just a little bit. So he's going to lose even more time there.
Matt Rolfe up to 16th after his early incident that really could have cost him. So just good job by him keeping his head on, just getting back out there, turning laps, waiting for that caution. Joe Schaefer now cracked into the top 10, Spearman in 9th, Trevor Edwards in 8th. You know, 30 laps to go here. It's still a long ways to go that some of these guys can keep marching up front. Yeah,
there's still time. You know, and if you're at this point now, you know, you're probably just, you know, right now, Gay's having a good battle with Ryan Matthews for 5th. You know, these guys are racing, but if you're out there basically by yourself in no man's land, if you want to say, you know, you may be saving a little bit of tire for a late race caution. Because right now, Adam Bitterfield is gap-tazing the whole field. So
2 seconds up, another second or half a second back to Bills. So again, are you just riding at this point? Are you hoping for a caution? If you're sitting 3rd, 4th, and 5th, you don't really know what to do. You can't push it too hard because there's still a long ways to go. But you know, you can't just hope for that caution either.
Yeah, I think you know, if you're Novak or Bills or maybe even Mullis, I think you're just kind of maintaining, right? You're just logging laps here still, even though it's late in the going, because the only thing you're racing for now is 2nd, and if you get a late caution and you burn your stuff up in the time before the caution comes out, you're gonna be kicking yourself. So you have to, it's a, like you said before, it's like a cat and mouse game. So, you know, you may have to step up your game 1 lap. Once you pull a little gap between you and the guy behind you, then maybe you can back it down just a little bit as well. But it still looks like these guys are going after it.
You saw from Samuel Roush how quick. I mean, he's fighting for a top 5, and the car just snapped. It's not intentional. It wasn't, you know, he wasn't trying to spin it out there. That it just got away from him. And so, if you're in the top 5, even if you're really in the top 10, if you're not, you know, if you're ways off, you know, you're a couple car lengths off, you're just riding because you don't want to push that car and snap and just go from a top 10 to a 24th spot.
Well, correct. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, you know, if you're racing for points, which, you know, most of these guys out here will be, you know, we do have some guys that come in periodically just for a few races here and there. But if you're racing for points, you got to play it smart too. So, you know, like Tim Bills is, you know, he may try to get 2nd here, but he's not going to do anything dumb. Get 2nd. He'll be more than glad to take 3rd probably at this point.
Schaefer Jr. putting a little pressure on Spearman as they go under the lap car, the number 50 of Mike Carlson here. Great to see him time in. He's been struggling on making the show, and so he was one of the cars to time in without needing the provisional there. So awesome start for the 50 of Mike Carlson. Not the showing that he wanted, but it's good laps and good experience.
Yeah, for sure. And if you can get in on time with, you know, the guys that come in here and race these super late models, with the Sim Auto Racing Association on Thursday nights, you're doing something. You know, he didn't fall back on a provisional or anything. He came in, made it in on time, so that's already, you know, a win. you know, even for someone like me, if I tried and qualified in on time, since I'm a terrible qualifier, that's a win for me. You just try to focus on the race and get the best finish that you can. So yeah, it is good for him.
Yeah, especially a track like this. You know, this is a track that it's not like an Oxford. It's not like a Five Flags that we were at a week ago. This is a track that your setup matters so much. I know it's that way everywhere, but this place, you got to get the car sealed down. You got to get the drive off, and you got to get the line to carry that momentum. And so a place like this, it's going to be tough to compete against the Benefields, the Jimmy Mullises. You know, you look at that entire top 5. They all have experience on big tracks, and not just in the super late.
Well, yes, yeah, correct. I mean, we have a couple guys that have the black label, if you want to say, you know.
Mullis looking to the inside of Bills here for third.
Yeah, and these guys are going to battle out. It's lap 80, coming to lap 81 of 100, so he's got 20 more laps to go.
Yeah, I think if you're holding anything back, you might as well just go ahead and go for it now. You're not going to burn your stuff up. If you get a caution, it's going to cool down. It's going to be a nice, quick, short run that you don't need it to last. And so now inside 20 laps, it's go time.
Yeah, and Mullis is going to, well, see, he goes up high here in turn 3 and 4. He's probably going to try to carry that speed out. He'll get a run on him down the front stretch here, but I don't know if it'll be enough to make a move on him or not.
And again, Mullis is a car that, 40 laps ago we were saying was the class of the field, and did he burn his stuff up too early? Was everybody else just kind of waiting? It's so hard on these big tracks to know who has what when until we get to lap 100.
And that's correct. And, the same thing could be for Benefield. If we get a late caution here, what's his car going to do? I mean, he could have already burnt his stuff up a little bit to get a gap on these guys so he can just basically put on cruise control if it stays green. But that's the key, is if, you still got guys like Mullis and Bills, DK and Matthews back there as well that are battling side by side. And all it takes is one little slip up, whether it's on purpose or not, just like this right here.
Going for a dirt slide job there. Good job by not taking it up into the side of Bills, ruining both their days, but we got ourselves a battle.
Yeah, and it's something just as simple as that. Could have, you could have got it loose and got up into Bills' door and could have spun them both out, and there's your caution, and the race changes. So he'll go back and regroup and take another stab at him here.
A guy like Bills is going, okay, where do I go now? I can't open up that inside because he's gonna send it in there. But do you run the bottom? Do you run the top? He's gapped him a little bit here. It looks like Mullis is just kind of regrouping and gonna come back in for another charge. Yeah,
he'll come back in another charge. May try the same thing that he did. Personally, I probably wouldn't try it in 3 and 4 to pass down low. I'd probably try it 1 and 2. I always like it was better because the turn 2 opens up so much. So it doesn't really, bog your speed down as much. But we'll see what he does. Right now he's working the bottom again. He's closing back in slowly but surely. He's running out of time.
Yeah, might be overdriving it now. Might be attacking the corners a little bit too much because Bills is pulling him off and down the straightaway. So did Mullis make that move too early? Did he not? We'll find out.
Right now, Anna Midfield's pulled out to a 3.68 lead. I mean,
he keeps adding about 1/10 and a half, 2/10 a lap here.
Yeah, he's just on cruise control, and he's coming up on some lap traffic, but these guys are spread out enough where he should just be able to pick them off pretty easily. Not have to worry about them holding him up or causing him any grief. Got 12 laps to go here. It's been, there's been some good racing. There's only been just the one caution. Memory serves me right. So
yeah, just one caution, 2 cars that spun to the infield. And again, that's the thing here at Iowa. You can have a wreck in a track like South Boston that would take out half the field. It's not even a caution here. So that definitely changes the dynamic of the race.
Yeah, and I think, go back to where we started the telecast, that it's, long run cars, I think, here are key. Because the field does get spread out. It's a nice, big, wide track. Right now, DK is still trying to work over Ryan Matthews for 5th place. Oh, that was close. See, and that's what happens. You come out turn 4 trying to pass in the bottom. The car just wants to shove the nose up because, well, this isn't your typical oval. It's a D-shaped oval. So the front stretch still keeps turning. The car wants to go straight. Mullis is up there on Bills again.
Now's the time to do it. You got 11 laps here. You may have to, you don't want to say run them dirty a little bit, but I think you're going to have to try to take away a line to get a run, because this track is just, the momentum is so great on the outside that it's hard to get it down low.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't tried the outside yet. Mainly not in 3 and 4, because you don't want to get it too high up in there. But on the entry of 1 and 2, I think you can maybe move up just a little bit more. I have before. And, try to show the nose on that right rear, try to sneak around on the outside. It looks like right now he's still trying to work it down low.
You can tell it's making Bills run harder. They're starting to catch the 1 in Novak here. I think they're going to run out of time to do anything with him. So it looks like Novak's in a good spot for second here, but Mullis is looking for that podium.
Yeah, we're about to be down to on lap 93 of 100, so if they can catch up here to Novak, we'll definitely have a heck of a race for second place, as Adam Benefield is just pulling away even more. He's up to 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, there's no point in even looking up there. He's in his own zip code. Once we got to that caution right at the end when he was able to pass Novak, or Matthews it was at that time, I believe.
Yes.
So he's set sail and that car is on a rail.
Yeah, and he's done something different than his teammates have. So they'll be asking him what he did with his setup, so that way they can have it for the next time we come back here. But they are closing in on Novak here.
You bring up a good point there. They may all have the same setup when you look at driving styles. Somebody like Benefield, if he built the setup, he knows how to drive it. Whereas if Roush was running that same setup, maybe just attacked it a little too early and it went away from him there. But Roush back there in 20th spot, 1 lap down when he was pushing that for that top 5.
Well, Bills is up and look the track a little bit, and here's Mullis is going to take his shot at him right now. And he's probably going to try to drive it down into turn 1, where he's going to try to make the pass.
Yeah, this is where you can see him there. Mullis is, he'd been kind of working that bottom line. I think there, if you want to make the pass, you're going to have to take Bill's line away. You're going to have to maybe run him just a little bit high, half a car length, just to try to take that momentum away if you want to make that pass. But they are definitely catching Novak.
Lap 97 of 100.
And you as a driver, Derek, what are your thoughts on that? If you're running for the podium, is it a dirty move? Is it just racing? What's your take on that?
Well, if you're Tim Bills, you're doing what you need to do, right, to get on the podium. I think that's always the goal when you're in top 5s, to be on the boxes. So he's doing what he needs to do, and he's making Mullis pass him. He's just really taking his line away. And, Mullis is running him clean. He's not up there close to his door, and Bills isn't pitching him down, so these guys are giving tons of respect for each other right now.
If he's at his bumper there, he may try the slide job.
Look at him.
Mullis keeps it high.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get tight.
And we got a lap car coming up front, so they're all looking at that lap car, trying to figure out where it's going to go, where's the line going to be.
Well, for Tim Bills, now all of a sudden you're going to have to start running maybe a little bit lower, depends on how they catch his lap car, which he did. He's running lower than he has, prior 10 laps probably. So you're always curious and a little cautious on how it's going to. Oh, and Mullis is up on his bumper.
I think Mullis anticipated Bills to go low there, and Bills stayed high. As a driver, this is where the chess match happens.
Use him for a pick.
White flag lap, last lap.
Last lap.
And if you're Bills now. If you're Bills, there's contact.
Hit. No. Oh, got into him. That lap down car probably had a lot to do with that. He saves it, so maybe he can come out here with the top 10 still. But you're a winner for tonight. Adam Benefield putting a clinic on. Congratulations to him.
Wow. That lap car, we knew it was going to potentially play a role here, and there you kind of hope the lap car gets to the bottom just to try to stay out of the way. He was as close to the wall as he could. Not much you can do, but 2 leaders definitely racing for the top 5 or for the podium.
Yeah, that was. I don't think Mullis meant to do that. He came over the radio there and apologized for it pretty much immediately. But that lap down car probably had a lot to play with it. If I was Mullis, I'm probably trying to use that lap down car as a pick. You want to try to maybe let Bills have to slow down, and you can get on past him, especially for how long Mullis is trying to work him over. He probably is a golden opportunity to use that guy as a pick, but just unfortunately they got together with Bills and spun Bills around. It looks like Tim Bills still came away with a 6th place finish after all of that.
Yeah, and you can see here watching the replay, Bills didn't exactly know where the 60 car was going to go. He tried to pinch it down low, not knowing where the 60 is going to go. Is he going to bounce off the wall? He's trying to leave himself plenty of room, maybe not realizing exactly where Mullis was, and 2 cars met in the middle, and you hate to see it for both those. You know, that's not how Jimmy wants to run either. It's not how he wants to get on the podium. But overall, one heck of a battle.
Yeah, it was, and I'm sure they'll chat about it, or it may not do anything at all. You know, it's kind of hard to say, but I don't foresee it being an issue going on down the road. Those guys usually race clean with each other. Both guys are pretty fast. It was just really want to see how that one was going to play out there coming towards the checker flag. But, you know, with all this excitement in the back, I'm still super impressed with Adam Benefield and the race that he ran tonight.
5.5 seconds he beat the field. How do you, I mean, is that line, is that setup? What do you think it is in that underneath that 83?
To be, you know, a caliber of guys that show up to this league on a weekly basis, stomp them by 5.5 seconds. That's everything, right? It's driver, it's setup, it's line, just running a smart race. He put it all together tonight, and put on a clinic. He should be super proud about this win.
Yeah, we're gonna have to roll that 83 into the tech shed. I think we're gonna have to see what's under the hood of that thing, because that is an absolute beatdown, like you said, of the class of this field to beat anybody by 5.5 seconds. You know, that's you're showing your stuff there, and you're flexing your muscles.
Yeah, everyone got beat by a Pontiac tonight, so they should be super, excited about that. If you get beat by a Pontiac, then there's one or two things that are happening.
What is that? Was it like a 95 Grand Prix?
No, he's actually running. It's probably like a 2006 or something GTO. So he's got the later model of the Pontiac before they expired. But yeah, it was a hell of a clinic he put on tonight. So congratulations to him and the One Up Motorsports guys.
I don't know if you saw Christian Chandler said apparently that was the worst setup ever made. So Benefield might not have had the highest of hopes coming in, but I think that quickly was erased.
Well, I think you may be in agreement. We'll take some of their worst setups. If they're going to look like that, I'll try that setup. If it's going to be that terrible, I'm pretty sure I can make it work pretty good.
Yeah, if they're handing them out, we'll take them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the race tonight. That was our 100-lap feature race for the Tundra Super Sim Loco Toco Designs. Midwest Powersource 100 here at Iowa. Congratulations to Adam Benefield again for putting on the clinic. We'll just go through the rundown here of our top 5 guys. Is obviously number 1 is Adam Benefield, 2 Zach Novak with a great run, 3 Jimmy Mullis, 4 Ryan Matthews with a great run as well, and 5 DK David Kokori, and rounding out your top 5. And like I said, 6th place there. We'll give him a good shout out. It's Tim Bills. He was right there on the boxes and battling there for 3rd and holding off Mullis before the incident happened. So we'll give him a shout out as well. Is there anything you'd like to add on to what happened here tonight?
No, I think, you look at, you got the 3 posse guys, 8th, 9th, and 10th there. They did what they wanted to do. You hate to say wanted to do, but just finish, survive it. They mitigated any damage. They're not DNFing or anything. Matt Rolfe back up to 14th after his early incident there, and then just a lot of new guys that qualified into the field. So it's exciting to see. I think it's definitely a good time here in SARA as we move forward through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and look forward to the rest of the season and how it plays out. From here on out. Next week we'll be at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas. The Loco Designs 150 at Las Vegas. It's another little short track there, so you may be able to see a little bit different guys up front. Than what you did here. It's a completely different track. It's a little short track. Not as banked, not as big, so the aero plays less of effect. It still plays an effect with these super lates, but less of effect. So you may see your atypical guys like a Joe Schaefer Jr. Or even like a Matt Rolfe up front.
And they call it the Bull Ring for a reason. You should see some chrome horns and some action definitely at the Bull Ring. Unique lines. And we'll see a guy like Colin Allman show back up, who won it last season. A lot of those, your T4X guys are fast there. The wheel and dealing guys are fast there. So the posse guys are super fast there. So we'll see exactly how everything plays out next week.
That we will. So we'll be back here next week at the same time. Drew, I appreciate you coming in and helping with the cast. Really enjoyed having you on here. I think everything went well, and hopefully you can come back and join me next week.
Yeah, it means I didn't qualify into the show, though, so we'll see.
That's a good point. Well, if you don't, you're always welcome up here in the booth with me.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, for everyone else, thank you for coming out, and hopefully you enjoyed the race. And like I said, we'll be back next week on Thursday at 9:30 is when the session goes up for us for qualifying. 10 o'clock will be the race, and we'll be at Las Vegas Bull Ring. See you then.